Lydia Plath pregnancy rumors explode. What she and Zac actually said. There are moments in reality television when a rumor becomes so convincing that fans begin treating it like confirmed news before the people at the center of the story ever say a word. And right now, Lydia Plath and her husband Zac Wyse are at the center of exactly that kind of storm. A headline claiming that Lydia is expecting her first child and that Zac is overjoyed may sound like the kind of announcement fans have been waiting for, especially after watching the young couple move from a whirlwind romance to marriage and then openly discuss their hopes of becoming parents someday. But there is a crucial detail that viewers need to know before believing any viral post, social media graphic, or AI-generated announcement. There is no credible confirmation that Lydia Plath is currently pregnant. And that is not a minor technicality. It changes the entire story. Because Lydia herself has already addressed pregnancy rumors publicly. In October 2025, after fake AI-generated images began circulating online, she pushed back against the claims and made it clear that the supposed pregnancy announcement was not real. She explained that she was tired of people using artificial intelligence to create pregnancy photos and false announcements involving her and Zac. Zac also described how one person had actually congratulated Lydia after seeing one of those false images. Think about how extraordinary that is. A young reality TV star gets married. Fans naturally begin wondering when children might enter the picture. Someone creates an artificial image suggesting she is pregnant, and suddenly people who have never spoken with Lydia personally are congratulating her on a baby that had never been announced. That is the environment surrounding this story. And it is precisely why we have to slow down. Because if Lydia and Zac eventually announce that they are expecting, that would obviously be major personal news. It would represent a completely new chapter for a couple whose relationship has already unfolded at remarkable speed. But until they themselves confirm it, viewers should not confuse speculation with fact. The reason this rumor has so much power is easy to understand. Lydia and Zac's relationship has moved quickly from the very beginning. They made their relationship public in late 2024, became engaged only a short time later, and married in February 2025. By February 2026, they were already celebrating their first wedding anniversary and describing their first year of marriage in glowing terms. People reported that Lydia celebrated the milestone by calling it the best year ever, while the couple also released a wedding video for fans. For viewers who have followed Lydia since her early days on Welcome to Plathville, that transformation is significant. The Lydia fans first encountered on television was a young woman growing up inside one of reality television's most talked-about families. The Plath family became famous for its unusual upbringing, complicated family relationships, religious values, and the tension that emerged as the children began entering adulthood and developing lives of their own. Lydia's own journey was especially interesting because she often appeared to occupy a different emotional position within the family. She was frequently portrayed as someone attempting to maintain peace while navigating complicated relationships around her. Over time, however, she began making increasingly independent decisions. Then came Zac. Their relationship immediately attracted attention because of how quickly it progressed. Lydia and Zac announced their engagement after only a few months of dating, and the marriage followed just months later. That timeline generated concern from some members of Lydia's family, particularly her brothers. People reported in September 2025 that Lydia felt hurt by what she described as her brother's initial judgment of Zac and their relationship. The speed of their relationship became one of the central storylines surrounding them. But there is another reason the pregnancy rumor feels believable to some viewers. Lydia and Zac have never hidden the fact that children are part of their long-term hopes. During a 2025 episode of Welcome to Plathville, the couple had an awkward conversation with Lydia's parents about marriage, intimacy, and having children. When the subject of parenthood came up, Lydia and Zac clarified that they were not planning to rush into having a baby. Lydia said they wanted to wait a while Zac explained that they did want children in the future but wanted to establish their own relationship and dynamic first. That distinction matters. Wanting children someday is not the same thing as announcing a pregnancy today. Yet social media often collapses those two things into one. A couple says they want children. Fans see a photograph, Somebody notices a change in appearance, someone else posts a speculative caption, and suddenly a rumor becomes a supposed announcement. Then artificial intelligence can make the rumor look even more convincing. That is exactly what happened to Lydia. In October 2025, Lydia directly addressed the problem. She said that people were using AI to create pregnancy announcements and pregnancy photographs involving her. She specifically asked fans not to believe those images and said that if a pregnancy were real, fans should look for an actual announcement from her rather than relying on AI-generated material. That statement should be the starting point for any responsible discussion of Lydia's alleged pregnancy, not a Facebook headline, not a digitally altered photograph, not a thumbnail, not a rumor. Her own words. And that brings us to the biggest question. Why are people still so interested in the possibility that Lydia and Zac could become parents? Part of the answer is simple human curiosity. Marriage naturally leads many people to wonder what comes next. For a young couple who have spoken openly about wanting children someday, fans may see parenthood as the obvious next chapter. And because Lydia's relationship has moved so quickly, viewers may assume that the next major announcement will also arrive quickly. Lydia and Zac have also had to navigate something that many newly married couples never have to deal with, having their private relationship examined by millions of strangers. Their wedding itself became part of that conversation. Lydia later told people that she did not plan to watch the televised wedding episode because she knew that drama involving members of the family would overshadow what she remembered as a peaceful and joyful wedding day. She emphasized that she and Zac had supportive people around them and that their personal experience of the wedding was different from the dramatic version viewers saw on television. That tells us something important about the way Lydia approaches public attention. She may share portions of her life with viewers, but that does not mean every part of her life belongs to the audience. And pregnancy would be one of the most personal announcements imaginable. If Lydia really were expecting a child, a genuine announcement would almost certainly deserve to come directly from Lydia and Zac. Until that happens, responsible coverage should treat every pregnancy claim as unconfirmed. There is also a larger issue here that goes beyond one reality TV couple. Artificial intelligence has made it dramatically easier to create convincing images of public figures saying or doing things that never happened. In Lydia's case, the problem became personal enough that she felt compelled to address it publicly. That is why this story is bigger than a pregnancy rumor. It is a story about how quickly false information can travel when it looks emotionally believable. A fake baby announcement works because people want to believe it. Fans have watched Lydia grow up. They watched her become independent. They watched her fall in love. They watched her marry Zac. They watched the family tensions surrounding that relationship. And many viewers naturally want to see her reach another milestone. So when an image appears claiming that Lydia is pregnant, the emotional reaction can happen before the factual reaction. First comes excitement. Then comes sharing. Then comes congratulations. And only afterward does someone ask the most important question. Where did this information actually come from? That question is what separates entertainment reporting from rumor amplification. As of the latest credible information available, there is no verified announcement from Lydia Plath or Zac Wyse confirming that they are expecting their first child. What we do know is that they are married. We know they have openly discussed wanting children in the future. We know they previously said they wanted to wait before starting a family. We know Lydia has posted about baby fever in a playful social media context. And we know that she specifically denied false pregnancy announcements generated with AI. Those are the facts. Everything beyond them needs to be labeled as speculation. And that is where the story becomes even more interesting. Because if Lydia and Zac are deliberately keeping their family plans private, the absence of an announcement does not tell us what their future plans are. It only tells us that they have not publicly confirmed a pregnancy. That distinction may seem obvious, but in the world of reality television, it is incredibly important. Reality stars can share one photograph and generate thousands of theories. A caption can become a headline. A joke can become a rumor. A fan theory can become a supposed breaking news story. And an AI-generated image can make fiction look like photographic evidence. For Lydia, that has already happened. So when a headline says, "Congratulations," the correct response is not necessarily celebration. It is verification. And if Lydia and Zac eventually have real baby news to share, the difference will be unmistakable. There will be an actual statement, an authentic post, a verified interview, or another trustworthy source carrying the announcement. Until then, the most honest headline is not "Lydia Plath is pregnant." It is, "Lydia Plath pregnancy rumors are back," but the evidence tells a very different story. And that difference matters, because behind every viral rumor is a real person. For Lydia, that person is a young woman who has spent much of her adult life allowing cameras into her family, her relationships, her faith, her wedding, and now her marriage. She has already told fans that she does not appreciate fake pregnancy announcements being created with AI. So if we are going to follow her story, we should follow it responsibly. And perhaps the most revealing part of all is this: Lydia and Zac do not appear to be rejecting the idea of becoming parents. They have simply said that they want to do it on their own timeline. That means the possibility of future baby news remains a legitimate question. But today, it remains a question, not a confirmed announcement. And as the next chapter of Lydia and Zac's marriage unfolds, that distinction may become more important than ever. New Lydia from Welcome to Plathville. Lydia was no longer simply one of the Plath children viewers had watched grow up on television. She was becoming an adult making decisions for herself, building a relationship, and eventually preparing to create a life that was separate from the complicated family dynamics that had defined so much of her earlier story. And Zac's arrival changed that trajectory. The relationship developed quickly. The couple became engaged after a relatively short period together, and their wedding followed in February 2025. That rapid progression immediately created a new question for fans. If marriage happened this quickly, could parenthood be next? That question may sound harmless, but it became increasingly complicated because Lydia and Zac themselves had already discussed the subject. Their comments did not suggest that children were off the table. Quite the opposite. They acknowledged that having children was something they wanted eventually. But they also indicated that they were not planning to immediately start a family. That is an important piece of context because it gives us a glimpse into how the couple viewed their future. That creates a constant demand for updates. Fans do not simply want to know what happened on the last episode. They want to know what happened afterward. Who is still together? Who broke up? Who got married? Who moved? Who is having a baby? Who is expecting? And that final question can become especially powerful when a reality star enters a new stage of adulthood. For Lydia, marriage naturally created that expectation. But there is another layer to the story. Lydia has publicly demonstrated that she understands exactly how much attention pregnancy speculation can generate. In June 2025, she posted about experiencing baby fever. On its own, that post did not announce a pregnancy. It did not establish that she was expecting. It did not provide a due date. It did not say that she had conceived. But for fans already watching her marriage closely, the words were enough to start another round of speculation. That is how modern celebrity rumors often work. The celebrity says something relatively ordinary. The audience interprets it. Another account repeats the interpretation. A third account removes the original context. And eventually, a headline appears that sounds much more definitive than the original statement ever was. That cycle is particularly dangerous with pregnancy rumors because pregnancy is not merely entertainment information. It is private medical and family information. There is a reason responsible entertainment journalism waits for confirmation. And Lydia's own experience with AI-generated pregnancy images demonstrates exactly why. By October 2025, the situation had gone beyond ordinary fan speculation. Artificial intelligence had apparently been used to produce fake pregnancy-related content involving Lydia. The technology matters here because traditional celebrity rumors often come with obvious warning signs. A blurry photograph might be questionable. An anonymous source might be questionable. A fan account might be questionable. But an AI-generated photograph can look polished. It can look professional. It can look like something produced for a magazine. And that makes it much easier for viewers to believe. Imagine scrolling through your phone and seeing a photograph that appears to show a reality star pregnant. The lighting looks natural. The face looks familiar. The clothing looks believable. The caption says she is expecting her first child. A viewer may never stop to ask whether the photograph actually exists. That is the danger. Lydia eventually spoke about exactly this kind of misinformation. Her response was not the reaction of someone teasing a secret pregnancy. It was the response of someone trying to correct false information. That difference is critical. If there were a genuine pregnancy announcement, the story would be very different. There would be a clear source. There would be a specific announcement. There would be no need to interpret an AI image. There would be no need to examine old photographs. There would be no need to speculate about clothing, body shape, or social media captions. The couple would simply tell their audience. And until that happens, the responsible position is to treat the pregnancy claim as unconfirmed. But there is still a legitimate question worth asking. Why would fans believe Lydia and Zac might be ready for children now? The answer is their marriage. The couple reached their first wedding anniversary in February 2026, marking a year since their wedding. That milestone gave fans another reason to speculate about what might come next. A first anniversary often becomes a moment when couples reflect on their future. For Lydia and Zac, that future could include many things: travel, career decisions, a new home, family relationships, and eventually perhaps children. But eventually is not a date. That is the central lesson of this entire story. People often assume that once a couple marries, the next logical step must be children. Real life is not that predictable. Some couples wait months. Some wait years. Some change their minds. Some face circumstances that are completely private. And some simply want to enjoy marriage before becoming parents. Lydia and Zac have publicly suggested that they wanted time, so a pregnancy rumor should not override what they themselves previously said. There is also the issue of family dynamics. Lydia's relationship with her siblings has been an important part of her welcome to Plathville storyline, and her marriage to Zac created new tension in some of those relationships. When a couple decides to have children, those family relationships can become even more complicated. Suddenly, siblings are no longer simply siblings. They become uncles and aunts. Parents become grandparents. Family disagreements can take on a different emotional weight. For someone like Lydia, whose family has already experienced years of public conflict, that possibility carries enormous significance. A future child would not simply be another reality TV storyline. It would become a new generation of the Plath family. That is one reason fans are so emotionally invested. People who have watched Lydia since she was younger may feel as though they have watched an entire generation grow up. They remember the earlier seasons. They remember Lydia's role inside the family. They remember her trying to maintain peace. They remember her growing independence. They remember her romantic journey. They remember the wedding. And now they are wondering whether the next major milestone could be motherhood. That emotional investment is understandable, but it also creates a responsibility for viewers. We can be interested without turning speculation into fact. We can discuss the possibility without announcing it as reality. And we can be excited about a future announcement without pretending that one has already happened. That distinction becomes even more important when we consider Zac's position. A headline claiming that Zac is overjoyed sounds like a direct report of his emotional reaction. But without a verified statement from Zac confirming a pregnancy and describing his reaction, that wording would be presenting an invented detail as fact. We should not do that. If Zac eventually says that he is excited to become a father, that quote can be reported. If Lydia announces that she is expecting, that announcement can be analyzed. If the couple shares an ultrasound photograph, fans can celebrate the milestone. But until then, we cannot manufacture an emotional reaction simply because it makes the story more dramatic. That is where viral entertainment content needs to draw a line. The goal is not merely to produce the most clickable headline. The goal is to produce